Karl Jobst is a liar. Billy Mitchell won, and rightfully so. He completely deserves it after all the lies that Karl spew, knowingly and intentionally, by the way. And now this video is supposed to even further completely destroy what's left of Karl Jobst. Karl, it's time you put the fries in the bag.
Greetings, everyone. I originally didn't plan to create a video relating to Karl Jobst. I felt the judgment spoke for itself.
True.
However, after Karl Jobst' response video and a few other statements by him,
I know what statements he's talking about. Karl is yapping in his Discord saying that he's not gonna pay Billy Mitchell a single cent because he's gonna do these shenanigans. His wife is gonna own the house, the company, and all of this. What an absolute idiot. Does he really think that he's gonna outsmart the courts? Does he really think that this is the first time the courts have seen someone who does not want to pay their dues?
I feel compelled to speak. I also feel that this video provides a good opportunity to correct a few past claims by Karl Jobst. But first, Ricky's world famous sauce is running a sale. Get 10% off all sauces at rickysauce.com using the discount code KarlLost at the checkout. If you missed the recent special edition Dragon Sauce sale, stay tuned because bottles number 1, 22, 117, and 256 will appear on eBay soon. We call them the 4 kill screen bottles. Also, watch the new film from the creators of The King of Kong featuring me, Steve Wiebe, and Walter Day titled Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. That information is available at arcadesandlovesongs.com.
That's a lot of self-promo.
Firstly, Mr. Jobst claimed that he couldn't disclose the subject of the lawsuit to his viewers is false.
Oh my god! Finally! I feel... Just him saying those words finally makes me feel so good inside. Because this is what I have been saying about this situation and pretty much every other situation with any celebrity. Unless there is a gag order by the judge to not speak about the lawsuit outside of court, you can speak about it. There is no magical barrier that prevents you from speaking about anything you please involving your lawsuit. You can yap about everything that you want. It's just not going to be probably beneficial for you to do so, but you can. There is no problem with that. Finally, someone said it.
This is because the claim, which is the document that I filed in court to sue Mr. Jobst, in which I clearly set out why I was suing him, is a matter of public record. This means anyone in the world can go down to the court and ask for a copy, and the court has to supply that document to them. I essentially published that document to the world at large, and as such, I could not possibly claim that Mr. Jobst or anyone else had defamed me if, for example, they sent a copy to their fans so they could understand the dispute and know what it was about. He also could have done this by acknowledging what he said was false and given a genuine apology. Australian law clearly states that an apology is not an admission of guilt. In a 2019 case, the Supreme Court of Queensland stated,
We know the Karl Jobst response, okay? He just literally said, the judge is an idiot. I'm actually right. Boo-hoo, poor me.
at paragraph 17. The fact that the defendant wished to contest that their publication conveyed the defamatory meanings contended for by the Wagners was not a good reason to continue to refuse to issue a public correction, retraction, or apology. The law has long recognized that a defendant may formulate such a statement while not admitting that the meanings were in fact conveyed. Secondly, Mr. Jobs' defense that his GoFundMe campaign intended to crowdfund for a second potential lawsuit, but redirected the funds to the existing lawsuit after the second lawsuit never materialized is bullshit. I say this based upon 3 facts relating to Mr. Jobs' financial situation at the time of his GoFundMe campaign and the timing of his GoFundMe campaign. To start, I'll state these 3 facts and then place them into context for everybody.
Okay.
1. Notch, the creator of Minecraft, funded the early and late stages of Mr. Jobs' legal defense, but he did not fund Mr. Jobs for a time in the middle of the case.
Okay.
Here's the clip of Mr. Jobs himself explaining how this happened.
Good. I had some good news recently. It hasn't fully come. I haven't gotten the money yet. But right at the beginning of the lawsuit, right, Notch, the creator of Minecraft,
Yeah.
he made a tweet saying, "Hey Carl, I'm going to pay your legal bills. I'll pay all your legal bills." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's awesome." And then I messaged him and I'm like, "Are you sure about that, man? You sure you want to pay my legal bills?" He's like, "Yep, I want to go through with it."
Well, he's a billionaire or something, so I guess it doesn't really matter to him.
He got me in contact with his manager. And then she started paying my legal bills. And like 3 months in, the manager's like, "We want to stop supporting you."
For context, the
Bro.
lawsuit started in September 2021. 2. Mr. Jobs
By the way, Notch is known as a human garbage pile by a lot of people, okay? There is not a lot saying that he is a good man, okay? You're not gonna really find people who know him who say anything good about him and whatnot. Notch is Notch is known as the guy who just has a lot of money and wants to live a glamorous life in a lot of cases, and that's pretty much it. Not a lot of personality there. Oh, man. At least stick to your words, Notch, okay? Jeez.
exhausted the money that Notch gave him in or about May of 2022. And he then offered to settle the case. Mr. Jobs said this himself on October 9th, 2024, in the comment sections of a YouTube video. I'll read the relevant parts. In May 2022, I made a settlement offer. Originally, when I made the offer, I had spent nothing because Notch was paying. As you can see here, this isn't me acting as if I know Mr. Jobs' legal bills. These are his words. 3. 6 months of silence passed between Mr. Jobs receiving the correspondence concerning a potential second lawsuit and then him opening his GoFundMe campaign. Now I'm going to place these 3 facts into the overall context. On May 10th, 2022, Mr. Jobs published a video about me that led my lawyers to send a concern notice to his lawyers. On May 22nd, 2022, Mr. Jobs and I were scheduled for mandatory mediation in the already existing lawsuit, one and only lawsuit. Before the mediation, my lawyers emailed his lawyers a copy of a legal complaint related to the concerns notice, and my lawyers said that I would proceed with the complaint unless the current lawsuit resolved at the mediation. The current lawsuit did not resolve, but I chose not to begin a second lawsuit, even though my lawyers felt that the second claim was meritorious. No further developments occurred after May 22nd relating to that concerns notice and the complaint emailed to Mr. Jobs' lawyer. The complaint was not filed. The complaint was not served.
Oh yeah, Jobs was talking about this. It was a whole bonanza about what Jobs made this out to be, by the way.
Lawyers did not email Mr. Jobs' lawyers after the mediation to request that he accepted service of a second lawsuit. It was complete silence. And as I showed earlier, at this time, May 22nd, 2022, the funds that Mr. Notch gave to Mr. Jobs ran dry. In July of 2022, Mr. Jobs submitted an application to the court of what effectively amounted as a Hail Mary attempt to dismiss the lawsuit. That didn't pan out for him. For the sake of brevity, I'll continue on, but I'll leave an explanation of that application in the description of the video. By the time Mr. Jobs had lost his financial backing from Notch, Notch's money was exhausted, he had failed to dismiss the case, he needed money, and he needed money now. But he knew his viewers may not open wallets if he was transparent about the true subject of the lawsuit.
True,
Here's what he does. On November 4th, 2022, he reaches back 6 months to May of 2022, pulls out an old legal correspondent that never received follow-up, and he creates a GoFundMe campaign on the premise that he urgently needs financial support for a potential second lawsuit.
Wait, what?
Karl, I do not accept
Did that happen?
the fact that you generally woke up 6 months after the last correspondence and also after your financial support ran out from Notch, and you suddenly felt the need to crowdfund for a potential second lawsuit.
Bro, Notch should sue Karl Jobst to get his money back. Oh, that would be hilarious.
You obviously knew the second lawsuit was not coming. Or at the very least, you were
Yeah, that timeline alone is devastating.
unsure if it ever was. You created a GoFundMe campaign with the knowledge and intent to fund the existing lawsuit on false premises. Period. End of paragraph. With that said, I feel it is important.
I mean, there's literally no response that Karl can give to make this seem good. Anyone who still supports Karl Jobst is like, I'm sorry.
Important to address Mr. Jobs' principal argument against all this. His argument is that he opened the GoFundMe campaign because my lawyers told him that I provided instructions to commence a second lawsuit. His position is, if Billy lawyers said so, then why should I not believe them? Here's the clip of him saying that.
Then in 2022, Billy sent me a third concerns notice because of a video I released in April regarding one of Billy's witnesses accusing him of extortion. And he followed that up with another lawsuit, of which he sent to my lawyers and told them he was going to file it against me. And then he sent me a fourth concerns notice, saying he intended to sue me because I put a 10-second AVGN meme in a video completely unrelated to Billy. Billy was now threatening me with 3 simultaneous lawsuits. The first one had already cost $200,000 in the first year alone. So if Billy filed with the second and third lawsuits, there was no way I could afford to defend myself.
Here's the problem. Mr. Jobs testified under oath at trial, quote, "I don't believe anything Billy Mitchell says." End of quote. So apparently the only time Mr. Jobs ever believes me is after 6 months pass without follow-up, and he stands to
Oh, damn. Karl, just put the fries in the bag.
gain $200,000 from his audience. In my opinion, the irony of Mr. Jobs' behavior here is that this misleading and disingenuous behavior is the exact type of behavior that he attacks people for in his videos. And the harsh reality is he uses these tactics on most subject matters, not just this one. Based upon Mr. Jobs' I lost video, it appears that he plans to dispute the factual findings of the judgment. And based upon his Discord messages, it appears that he's planning a broader revenge campaign against not only me, but my family,
What?
my hot sauce company,
What? I have not seen that. Oh shit, boy.
Here's what I'll say of that with the information available to me today. It's very easy for a YouTuber to create a self-serving video with an unopposed narrative shaped by them.
That's right. How long have I been saying this? All the YouTubers, all the Twitch people who are, doing politics and refuse to talk to anyone because talking to other people is bad. They're just scared.
It is not easy to present those arguments in a court of law where the other side can argue back and win. Remember, Mr. Jobs already received his opportunity to argue anything and everything that he claimed in his I Lost video, or may claim in a future video. Remember that despite all these allegations that he hurls with inflammatory languages, it is ultimately him who the court found to not be a credible witness. Let's review an example of this in his.
And by his own words, Cottle said, well, the judge really liked what Billy said, so I lost already there. The judge was swindled. I'm paraphrasing, but effectively that's kind of it.
His I Lost video, he says this.
I will say one thing though, the judge found Billy Mitchell to be a credible witness, and essentially accepted his full
This is what I'm paraphrasing, by the way. This is exactly what I'm paraphrasing. This is exactly what I meant.
oral testimony as fact, despite our many attempts to show that Billy is a liar. For example, we have Billy on video in 2023 during his Twin Galaxies deposition saying that the effect I've had on him is minimal.
Did the actions that Karl Jobst and David Race and Jeremy Young and Jeff Harris take also cause you emotional distress?
That is minimal compared to this. At that moment in my deposition.
Wait, that's also compared to this, whatever that is, so. Questions?
I was discussing the allegations related to video games, not Apollo Legend. The questioner listed a series of individuals in lawsuits with me that all related to video games in one way or another, either in the complaint, in the defense, or as a broader background text. All while sitting in a deposition for a Twin Galaxies lawsuit. Then, when the questioner asked why, I said because this is where it all began. Because my answer related specifically to Twin Galaxies and video games. Mr. Jobs will likely respond by playing a segment of my deposition. I'll play it here and then discuss.
What about Karl Jobst? Why are you suing him?
Karl Jobst has nothing to do with video games. He's being sued because he's blaming the death of an individual, Apollo Legend, on me.
Are you suing him for defamation for making that blame?
Has nothing to do with video games.
There you go! Oh, jeez.
These two clips of my deposition were
Yep. I mean, it just keeps getting worse for Cottle.
two entirely different lines of questioning that occurred hours apart. In the first clip, my answer related to multiple individuals across lawsuits connected to video games in one way or another, including Mr. Jobs, but not only Mr. Jobs. In the second clip, my answers concern specifically Mr. Jobs and the amputations in my complaint against him. Context is everything. What does Mr. Jobs not do in his I Lost video? He doesn't present any opposing argument to his narrative. Despite hearing my explanation,
An opposing argument is context, by the way.
my deposition testimony at the trial, and despite reading the judgment's reasoning for accepting my testimony on this issue, he just omits everything and presents his position as fact. This tactic of omitting inconvenient information to his desired narrative is common in Mr. Jobs' videos generally. Not just the videos about me, all of his videos. Here's an example from his I Lost video.
To be clear though, I never said Billy caused Apollo's suicide, nor have I ever believed that. No one is responsible for Apollo's decision other than Apollo.
That is a very clear statement from Karl there. He never believed that anyone was responsible for Apollo's decision except Apollo. Well, let me show you in an exchange that occurred between my barrister and Mr. Jobs while he was on the witness stand at trial. Here, Mr. Jobs is saying to the court, to the judge, that he did in fact believe that I was a factor in Apollo Legends' decisions. And before you ask, yes, Mr. Jobs said this while under oath. You can make up your own mind, but it appears to me that Karl either lied directly to his fans about this, or he lied to the court under oath. Third example. When I settled my lawsuit with Twin
It just keeps getting more over for Karl. Beautiful.
Galaxies in January 2024, Twin Galaxies and Mr. Jobs jointly circulated a claim that I remained banned from Twin Galaxies competition. That is a lie. Here is the relevant clause to the settlement agreement with Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies will work to include any future score submissions by Mitchell to Twin Galaxies leaderboard, with such submissions having to go through the normal Twin Galaxies adjudication process. So what Twin Galaxies and Mr. Jobs claimed was that even though Twin Galaxies said it would permit future score submissions from me, I remain banned from the Twin Galaxies competition. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
As a result of these claims, I filed a motion to enforce settlement agreement on Twin Galaxies on May 30th, 2024. The court ruled in my favor. And the judge directly addressed this claim by Twin Galaxies as false. Here's what the judge said. I think it's a fair assumption that the intention was to at least allow for the possibility of the plaintiff to submit his scores. To me, this implies that he was not banned. In my opinion, the claim that I remained banned from Twin Galaxies competition was a coordinated effort by Mr. Jobs and Twin Galaxies to spread misinformation. These are just very, very dishonest people. But with that said, I will not be submitting any scores to Twin Galaxies because it has no authority. It has no purpose. At this point, Twin Galaxies is only relevant for its history. Today, Twin Galaxies has no physical place of business. It has no office. It has no in-person competition, no employees, no referees, no industry experts. In fact, Twin Galaxies today is one guy with no industry experience that runs a website from his apartment. He stands on nothing but the hard work and achievement of those who came before him and thinks money can buy him credibility. Next, Mr. Jobs and Twin Galaxies stated many times over the years that this photo shows a rule violation on one of my Donkey Kong World Records. Because
is this one because the stick is red?
Joystick was red.
Yeah.
That's not true. The joystick was compliant with the rules. In 2007, there was no written rules for competitive Donkey Kong. However, the general rule for all games was to use the original machine with a manufacturer's hardware or hardware that constitutes a like-for-like exchange. A like-for-like exchange is a functional equivalent. For example, in this case, if a four-way joystick installed by the manufacturer broke, you may install and use a different four-way joystick. That is why the joystick was compliant with the rules. The reason for the rule was that arcade video game manufacturers stopped producing parts in the 1980s. No arcade machine on this earth at that time for any game had each and every part from the manufacturer. Nobody's scores would have been valid for that rule. Nobody's. In fact, even today,
Fun fact, that statement actually would not hold up in court because he would need to prove that every single arcade machine has all of their parts, well, at least one of their parts changed at this point, which is impossible.
Donkey Kong World Records occur with non-original hardware inside the control panel based upon a like-for-like exchange rule, both the joystick and the buttons. Mr. Job also levies the claim that the joystick was an 8-way joystick, not a 4-way joystick. I don't think he understands how the arcade machine joysticks work. Any joystick.
Yeah, wait. You probably cannot even do that. If the machine is supposed to go like this and that and this, you can't make it just go all the ways. That would, even if you install something that can do that, the machine is still not gonna allow you to do that, right?
Maybe any number of ways based upon how it is installed. It doesn't matter who the manufacturer of the joystick is. It doesn't matter what the manual says. It all depends on the restrictor plates inside of the arcade machine, which are not visible from the outside. In this instance, it was a 4-way joystick. On a separate note, if Mr. Jobs' joystick claim was true, then both him and Twin Galaxies would have walked into court, would have shown the photo, and won their case. Instead, neither Mr. Jobs nor Twin Galaxies ever attempted to use this photo at any point in the trial.
Oh, you know it's bad when you're constantly making videos and yapping about this thing being the problem, and then you go to court and it's like you don't even bring it up because you know it's... That just shows that you're lying, right?
Even in preparation.
Oof.
Despite the claim from Mr. Jobs that this photo was some kind of a smoking gun, his decision not to use it speaks volumes. Even in his I lost video, Karl makes a claim that I'm a proven cheater.
Yeah.
And that I've seen commentary from around the internet for years now where people claim that there's no doubt. It's obvious. It's been proved.
Damn.
Well, I ask you to consider this. Twin Galaxies had the opportunity to prove in court that I cheated. It couldn't. Karl Jobst, who was told by a billionaire, Notch, that he'd pay for the best legal representation possible.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is true. Also, by the way, did Karl not actually say that the Twin Galaxies lawsuit against Billy Mitchell or vice versa is not about cheating? It was about something else? Huh. Interesting. Oh, I read I got a text message, so I said that in my own language because the thing I read was in my own language. Oops. Well, whatever.
Did not even try to prove that I cheated. If it's obvious, that's certain, so easily provable, why does the claim suddenly fall apart as soon as it's taken out of the court of public opinion and into the actual court of law, where I have the right to reply and where real evidence is given by real people who swear under oath to tell the truth? And regardless, Twin Galaxies, what kind of defendant spends hundreds of thousands of dollars, even over $1 million according to his lawyer, litigating a case for 4 years to settle 3 months before trial? A defendant that expects to lose. Lastly, I recently learned that Mr. Jobs plans to engage in a revenge campaign on YouTube by creating videos about me, my family, and my hot sauce company. Imagine that, my family. It seems that the discount code Karl Lost deeply bothers him. On May 5th, 2025, at 3:02 a.m., Mr. Jobs wrote on Discord, "There are 2 videos that need to be made. One talking about the hot sauce company."
Oh my god, at this point, Karl's just begging to be sued again.
One talking about how Billy needs to stand on things to make himself look taller in photos. Carl, I'm 6'6". I don't.
That is tall. I'm 6. What was I in America? 6'2"? So, yeah, this guy's like literally this much above me. And that makes me feel uncomfortable. The last time someone was that tall, I saw him in a gas station, and I instinctively thought, I should bash this guy's head in. I'm joking, YouTube. I'm joking. This is all. Anyone who takes this seriously is a fool. I'm just joking. And I was like looking at glass bottles and thinking, this is a threat. This guy is so much taller than me. I'm joking, YouTube. I'm joking. This is obviously satire.
I don't need to do anything to look taller. I've taken thousands of photos of different types with fans since 1982.
No, he should have let Karl just do the videos.
Some very serious, some nothing but fun.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
Jesus.
you're 5'7".
Ah, I told you. I knew Karl is a midget. Because he has an Asian wife and they look the same height.
Cope harder. Try not to stretch the truth. As for Mr. Jobs' plan to attack my hot sauce company, I don't know what he could possibly claim. I'm interested to know what could possibly lead Mr. Jobs to believe that he knows the financials or the operational framework of a private company. It reminds
True, by the way.
me of a time where he claimed to know the terms of a confidential settlement agreement back in 2021. Of course, that's why we're all here. That's all for today.
Well, Karl does literally use Reddit as a source for evidence, so I rest my case, Your Honor. Anyway, that was Billy Mitchell, and there's gonna be a part 2. Boys, I'm subbing for that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm subbing for that. Anyway, Karl put the fries in the bag. It is what it is.